Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for the moon in Libra. Libra is a cardinal air sign. So what does that mean? Well, there are three modalities. There are mutable signs, fixed signs, and Libra is a cardinal sign. So Librans aren't content in life with just talking about stuff. They're doers. And emotionally, when someone has a cardinal sign, the other cardinal signs, by the way, are Capricorn, Aries, and Cancer. They are moved to take action. Okay, that's the best way of putting it. So this can be good in certain instances, or should I say beneficial, and in other instances, it can be a hindrance because when you're moved to act, and it's based upon insecurities, it can lead to codependent tendencies, right? So being prompted by your emotions is a double-edged sword. Luckily for Libra, because Libra is an air sign, Moon and Libra people tend not to be overly emotional altogether. They tend to be more analytical about what they're feeling. And I love to say that the air signs, and I would definitely, talk about the moon position in talking about the different air signs, because this is more of the psyche, tend to be people who like to talk about their feelings. And so they love therapy because they can go on and on about analyzing their emotions, but are they feeling any of them? Is it all in their minds? All this stuff. There's a lot of abstraction happening. And this can be challenging in relationships because a Moon and Libra person can have this idea in their head of what the perfect relationship is. And maybe even be striving to try to embody it, with their own behavior. But they don't realize that it's just a concept. It's not necessarily how life works. And so bringing those abstractions down to real life is a challenge for somebody who has a moon and an air sign. And for Libra, there's also this added influence of trying to make everything okay. And this is kind of where Moon and Librans get into trouble. When I say Libran, understand I mean Moon and Libra. And it's just like much more long-winded to always have to say, or cumbersome. So this Libra person may have a tendency to want harmony so badly on an emotional level that they become afraid of conflict. And if you have had a marriage or the equivalent, and it's a long-running affair, you know that conflict is inevitable. I don't trust anyone who says, oh, we never fight. Well, there might be a few outliers out there, but most people who are really being themselves are going to, from time to time, butt head with their partners. And did I say butt head? Butt heads with their partners. Now, I'm not talking about viciousness. I'm not talking about saying the ugliest things you can to the other person to try to intentionally hurt them. I'm talking about merely disagreeing with the direction you want to go in life or a particular thing that's happening, a behavior that they're engaged in, a behavior you're engaged in. You're going to sometimes clash. And the person who falls apart over this reality is going to bring a lot of neurosis to the situation. And this is what Libra tends to do, is they tend to be so attached to the idea of harmony that they try to make it happen at every turn. And once there's a little whiff of conflict in the air, they're off and running, trying to smooth things over. And I know this personally because I've dealt with people. This also occurs sometimes with the sun sign in Libra. And dealing with these people, makes me want to pull out my hair because I have a sun in Sagittarius and I like to be provocative. I like to get people to think. And it's not about trolling people and to try to get them to react to something so that I can get some sort of kick out of it. It's really to force people to get out of their little lazy thinking and think about things in a different sort of way. And even though Libra is associated with the mind, with the intellect, they can be extremely shallow if they don't watch it, where they want to live on the surface of life emotionally. And this is something to guard against too. Now, because Libra is right next to Scorpio, a person who, for instance, has the sun sign in Libra may have personal planets in Scorpio and be a lot deeper than that. But anyone can have the moon in Libra. You can be a Pisces with the moon in Libra. And so it's very important that these people engage life emotionally at a deeper level and not be afraid of their strong feelings, because everyone has them somewhere. Librans just hide them better, or they reject them outright. And this is another reason why there can be situations that are problematic with them, because they may have a tendency to be uncomfortable with feelings that they have that are not so warm and fuzzy. And they may reject that part of themselves as mean and bad and ugly. And actually, making peace with your shadow is a very important thing as well. To integrate your whole being so that when you go out into the world, you are authentic and you're not fragmented, and this is something that if you have a moon in Libra, I really want to impress upon you, is to embrace your authentic self, to not be so needy of approval from others. And this could be especially true for people with the moon in Libra, because it is your emotional nature, where you are less than authentic, where you're fake, because you want to be accepted by others and not rejected. Anyone who places conditions on accepting you is not somebody who is worthy of your time, in my opinion. So don't even worry about those people. I want to talk more about some of these shadow aspects of Moon in Libra, but let's talk about some good things. I don't want to just make it seem all bad. As I said before, the Moon in Libra person can be very, or maybe I didn't use the word, but they are very diplomatic. They're very polite. And it's so important these days to have people walking around who actually say thank you, who actually try to be considerate of others and be pleasing, be pleasant. You see how those words are similar. Who try to embody a sense of gracefulness. I think I used the word graciousness, but being graceful, emotionally graceful, where some people are rough around the edges. A Moon in Libra person, even if they grew up in the most rough and tumble environment, will usually have a modicum of class. I've heard it said that even using the word classy or class is unclassy. So take that as you will. I think the best way of putting it is that the moon in Libra, as with the sun in Libra, is very elegant. And they tend to be very familiar with the social graces. So they know how to behave. They know how to talk to people in a way that gets them what they want. And the problem can be that they're so good at it that sometimes it can veer into that fakeness where they use flattery and they use kind of a cutesy way of acting as a substitute for authenticity. The other thing, looking at the shadow of the moon in Libra, is about beauty. And I think it's possible, and if you know what I'm talking about, please comment below, that the moon in Libra individual, and I don't know if this would be true for the men, but I'm sure they can be just as vain as the women, maybe somehow not believing that they are attractive enough. And this becomes a quest, and it could be an obsession with trying to look a certain way. And in my other videos, I mentioned that the moon can represent the mother and how the mother acted. So this can play out in many ways. The mother may have been someone who was obsessed with her own beauty and felt that that was paramount to her success in life, was being a beautiful woman. And so obsessed with makeup, obsessed with the proper clothing, wardrobe, what have you. And that just naturally gets transferred to the daughter. Or you could have the mother who is criticizing the daughter for not being beautiful enough and making it seem like that is paramount to your existence. Now, I think that the latter is less likely because the mother would exhibit the Libran traits, so she wouldn't necessarily be that critical. She'd be more polite about it, but the message can still get conveyed. And what gets really convoluted is that it's tied into this idea of love being paramount in one's life. And of course, I don't think it's abnormal to want a one-on-one romantic relationship with someone, but remember that Libra is ruled by Venus, and it rules the 7th house of partnership, committed partnership. So there is always that goal of having maybe like a soulmate and wanting that in their life, wanting their better half, so to speak. And for women, a lot of times they believe that their looks are the chief way that they attract love to them. And this, of course, if you're trying to attract a man, it is said that men are visual creatures, but it's not necessarily going to sustain a relationship. So that's where they get it twisted. And this kind of craving being loved and being in that monogamous relationship can lead them to try anything that it takes to find that relationship. And if they get into a relationship that is unsatisfactory, it is possible for a Moon in Libra person to leave because it is a cardinal sign. It will tend to take action if it is unhappy, but a lot of times they may line somebody up so that they're never alone. Moon in Libra is excessively social sometimes, and they may not even like to be alone. But of course, being alone allows you to tune into yourself, tune into your higher self, and also separate yourself from other people's opinions about you and about life. And when you're always immersed in interactions with other people, it's harder to find your own voice. And this is what a Moon in Libra person has to struggle with, because they may tend to be very easily influenced by those around them and have difficulty knowing what they think and feel, because they're so dependent on other people's point of view. Now, this very same quality gives Libra a great talent for impartial judgment. That's why they oftentimes gravitate towards the legal profession, because they have the ability to see things from different points of view. And if they have to make a decision like a judge does, they can do so without the emotion that another sign has. So especially with the Moon in Libra, this would be the case. But in their own personal life, they can be a basket case when they are so indecisive, especially about affairs of the heart, where they are torn between different things because they see all sides of that situation. So it's very important for the Moon in Libra person to make a conscious effort to spend time alone, to cultivate their own opinions and feelings and separate them from other people, and also to avoid frivolity. Or is it frivolity? Being frivolous, let's put it that way. They say frivolity. Frivolity. Oh, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Avoid being superficial, because they have a tendency to, like I said earlier, live on the surface of life emotionally. And they can be very fun to be around. Oscar Wilde had a sun in Libra. I don't know about his moon sign, and we're still quoting him. He was so witty. The Moon in Libra person can just sparkle intellectually. And this is one final thing I want to say about that, is that I think a lot of Moon in Libra people need to value their intellectual rapport with a partner more than how the person looks and other factors. Like if they find them sexy or something like that, which could, that connects with the looks too. But because they do tend to value the aesthetic part of life, so they may forget that they are intellectual beings and they need that mental stimulation to sustain them in a relationship, to keep their interest, because they're interesting people and they like to communicate. All air signs like to communicate, and they need somebody who can talk back, can talk with them in a way that is stimulating to them. And so that they can continue to get that sense of growth, mental growth, in addition to the emotional growth through a partner. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you'd like a personal reading, my natal chart interpretations are similar to this, where I go into your different personality traits, and I also look at the next 12 months for love and money and career and stuff like that. The link is below. Take care. Bye.